The story begins in a quiet countryside town in 1986. A young boy watches a tractor roll slowly down a dirt road. A group of kids runs behind it, laughing and chasing. Two detectives sit on the back of the tractor. The vehicle stops near a small tunnel by the fields. The detectives hop off. One of them, Detective Park Dooman, starts looking around the area. He kneels near the tunnel and pulls out a mirror to check inside. That's when he sees it. The body of a young girl. She's tied up and clearly murdered. As Park takes in the scene, the kids nearby keep playing in the field. He tells them to leave, but one boy mocks him, repeating everything he says. Park gets annoyed but brushes it off and focuses back on the crime scene. Park starts investigating a few suspects. The next morning, they discover a footprint near the crime scene. It might be important, so they ask around to find the person who reported it. But before they can protect the spot, a tractor drives over the area, ruining the footprint completely. The forensic team still hasn't arrived, and reporters are already on site, making things harder. The detectives try to push people back and keep the scene under control. Park sits at a table, flipping through a small diary filled with photos of suspects. He's eating while going over the pictures. The police chief sees him and asks how he can look at murder suspects while eating. Park replies confidently, "I can tell who the killer is just by looking into their eyes." To test him, the chief points at two men sitting nearby. One is a rapist. The other is the victim's brother who caught him in the act. He asks Park to pick the criminal. Park stares for a moment, but before he can answer, his mind drifts to a memory with his girlfriend, Kwak Sul-young. She once told him about a family that owned the bake meat restaurant. She said their mentally challenged son, Kwang Ho, chased one of the murdered women, Hyang Suk, the same night she was killed. Shocked by this, Park decides to go investigate Kwang Ho immediately. Park questions Kwang Ho directly, asking if he killed Hyang Suk because he wanted to have intimacy with her. Kwang Ho denies it. Not convinced, Park calls in Inspector Joe. Joe enters the room and quietly wraps a cloth around his boots, so they won't leave any marks. Then, he begins to beat Kwang Ho, trying to force a confession. A man approaches a woman standing near the roadside. She looks uncomfortable and suddenly runs. As she tries to escape, she trips and falls near the road. Park happens to be passing by in his car. Seeing the scene, he jumps out and starts punching the man, not realizing he's actually the new detective from Seoul. During their conversation, the new detective, Soo Tae-yoon, notices a bad smell. It's coming from a pair of sneakers stored in Park's car, kept as evidence. Park then takes those sneakers to the crime scene, trying to match them with the footprint found earlier, hoping to connect them to Kwang Ho. Once they return to the station, Park tells the team to develop the suspect photos. Meanwhile, the chief welcomes Detective Soo, who calmly asks for a desk in the corner so he can begin his own research. Park, Inspector Joe, and Kwang Ho sit together watching a film while eating. Everything seems calm for a moment. Then, reports come in. Park suddenly turns serious and starts questioning Kwang Ho. He tells him that the pair of sneakers found at his house match the ones from the crime scene, asking if he wore them and killed those women. Kwang Ho denies it, so they take him out to the forest. There, they threaten to bury him alive if he doesn't confess. They begin feeding him information, pushing details into his head for a recorded statement. "We know women hate your face," Park says. Kwang Ho repeats, "Yes, I will kill them all." Then he starts describing the crime in disturbing detail, saying he tied the dead girl up with her bra, put her panties on her face, and stuffed stockings into her mouth. But when asked what happened after that, he has no answer. He goes quiet. This leaves the detectives stunned once again, unsure if he's really the killer or just repeating what they told him. Detective Soo looks closely at Kwang Ho's hands. He notices how weak and shaky they are, the kind of hands that struggle to even hold chopsticks. He starts doubting if Kwang Ho could have killed anyone at all. Meanwhile, Park takes Kwang Ho to the crime scene for a reenactment. Reporters gather around, cameras rolling. To recreate the scene, a man is dressed like the murdered woman, acting out the events as if confirming Kwang Ho as the killer. But just then, Kwang Ho's father arrives, shouting that his son is innocent. The reporters jump on the chaos, accusing the police of torturing suspects. The pressure builds fast. Soon after, the prosecutor steps in and revokes the arrest warrant. Kwang Ho is released. The chief visits the crime scene himself to take a closer look. He asks the detectives what all the murdered women had in common. Park casually answers, "They were all beautiful." But Sue steps in with a sharper observation. He says all the victims were wearing red and were killed on rainy nights. He then points out that there are 3 victims, but the body of the 3rd woman hasn't been found yet. Sue hands the chief a list of missing women. After going through the details, they realize one woman on the list was also wearing red and disappeared on a rainy night. Sue immediately requests a team of officers, a full quadrant, to start searching for her body. The police begin searching the reed fields, the same area where the last 2 murders happened. After a while, they find the missing woman's dead body. During the autopsy, it's confirmed that all the women were raped. The killer's method is precise and professional, leaving no clues behind. Later, the detectives visit the bake meat restaurant. They now believe Kwang Ho is innocent. As an apology, they bring him a gift. That night, the chief warns them. The killer is going to strike again. They need to be ready. On the next rainy night, they set a trap. A female officer dresses in red and walks through the fields, acting as bait. The team watches from a small booth nearby. While they wait, 2 schoolgirls show up and mention a woman who lives near the school outhouse. But that same night, the killer still manages to claim a 4th victim. The next morning, the team gets word about the 4th murder. They rush to the scene but find nothing. Just a single footprint. No solid clues. Back at the station, everyone is frustrated. They gather to think. Park says if the killer raped the victims, there should be some hair left at the scene, but they found none. Park suggests maybe the killer is bald down there. The chief looks at him, clearly annoyed by the ridiculous idea. Just then, the female officer walks in. She says she listens to an evening radio show where, on the same nights as the murders, someone always requests a rare song called Sad Letter. That catches everyone's attention. For the first time, they have something concrete to follow. They decide to investigate the radio station. Park, still stuck on his theory, asks the chief what he thinks. The chief snaps back, "Should we pull down the pants of every man passing by to check if they're bald down there?" Park complains about wasting his money visiting saunas, looking for bald men. He jokes that after taking so many showers, he's scared he might lose his own hair. His girlfriend suggests he visit a shaman to learn more about the killer. Park agrees. The shaman gives him a charm and tells him to place it at the crime scene. Later, Park and Inspector Joe go to the scene. They wait quietly, letting the charm's dirt dry on the ground. They saw someone approaching. It's Detective So. He lights a cigarette and hides too as he saw someone approaching too. A man walks into the scene. He lays down a bra and underwear, then begins pleasuring himself. Suddenly, Inspector Joe steps on a twig. The man hears it and bolts. The 3 detectives give chase. The pursuit leads to a nearby construction site. While searching, Park notices the red panties the man was wearing and spots him hiding. They catch him and bring him in for questioning. He admits he was jerking off at the crime scene out of a personal fantasy, but swears he's not the killer. Outside the police station, a crowd gathers in protest, demanding the release of Byung-soon. Inside, Park is interrogating him, pressing hard for a confession. He's convinced this man might be the killer. Detective Soo listens from the side. He watches closely and senses that Byung-soon isn't the one they're looking for. During questioning, Byung-soon casually mentions an outhouse, the same one those schoolgirls talked about earlier. So is immediately alert. He leaves the station and heads to the outhouse near the school. There, he meets a girl who tells him something strange. She often hears a woman crying up the hill. So follows the lead and finds the woman. She hides at first, afraid to speak. But Sue notices something important. A bra, panties, a red skirt, and a shirt drying outside. They match the clothes of the previous victims. He calls a female officer to help and begins recording the woman's statement. She reveals she was raped by the same man, but chose not to look at his face. That's why he let her live. The only detail she remembers clearly: his hands were soft, like the hands of a woman. Inspector Soo tells Park to release Byung-soon, convinced he isn't the killer. Park loses his temper, and the two detectives start fighting. In the middle of their argument, they hear the song Sad Letter playing on the radio. It's raining again, just like on the nights of the previous murders. They immediately call for police backup, but are told no units are available that night. The next morning, another girl is found dead. During the autopsy, they make a disturbing discovery. 9 pieces of peach were stuffed inside her vagina. Then, the radio station finally contacts them. They've found the postcard sent by the man who requested the song. The address leads the detectives to a local factory. There, they find and arrest a man named Park Hyun-gyu, the one who had sent the song request. He's taken in for investigation. Back at the station, the detectives question Park Hyun-gyu. His hands are soft, just like the woman had described. He admits to sending the song requests on the exact murder dates, but he firmly denies killing anyone. They're stuck again. So quietly asks Park if he had coached Kwang-ho with the details of the murder during the earlier interrogation. Park denies it. That response makes both of them pause. They replay Kwang-ho's taped confession and realize something. He wasn't just repeating what they said. It sounded like he was describing what he saw. Now, desperate for answers, they rush to Kwang-ho's father's restaurant to find him. Inside, Inspector Joe is already there, having dinner. When he sees Kwang-ho, he snaps, starts fighting with the men around him. Park tries to stop the chaos, but in that moment, Kwang-ho appears with a wooden stick covered in nails and strikes Joe in the leg. Kwang-ho runs. The detectives chase him down. Finally, Kwang-ho breaks his silence. He says he saw everything the night of the murder, including the killer's face, but he never told anyone because that same man had once thrown him into a fire, badly burning his face. Terrified, Kwang-ho runs again and stands on the train tracks. Before anyone can stop him, a train passes over, killing the only witness they had in the entire case. During the autopsy of the latest victim, they discover semen on her clothes, as if the killer had masturbated over the body. But there's a problem. At the time, Korea didn't have the technology to confirm DNA matches, so they send the samples to America, hoping to find out if it belonged to Park Hyun-gyu. Meanwhile, Inspector Joe's leg gets worse. The rusted nails from Kwang-ho's stick caused a serious infection, and his leg has to be amputated. Detective Seo, still not convinced Park Hyun-gyu is innocent, decides to keep him under surveillance 24/7. One night, Soo is watching from outside a restaurant. He's exhausted and dozes off. When he wakes up, Park Hyun-gyu is gone. He had boarded a bus and disappeared. That same night, another murder is reported. This time, during the autopsy, they find a ballpoint pen and a spoon stuffed inside the victim's vagina. The body belongs to the same schoolgirl who had told Soo about the outhouse. In shock and fury, Soo finds Park Hyun-gyu and beats him brutally, convinced he's the killer. Just then, Park Do-man arrives, holding the DNA report from America. They open it together. Seo reads it, and his face falls. The semen doesn't match Park Hyun-gyu's DNA. Stunned and heartbroken, they realize they've been wrong all along. They let him go, and just like that, the trail goes cold. Years pass. Park Do-man leaves the police force and moves on with a quiet life. One day, while out making a delivery for his new job, he drives past the familiar fields. Something pulls him back. He stops the car and walks toward the old crime scene, the tunnel where the first body was found. He kneels down and looks inside. It's empty now, silent, just dirt and shadows. As he stands there, a young girl nearby sees him and asks, "What are you looking for?" Park pauses, then quietly says, "Nothing." The girl thinks for a moment and says, "That's strange. A man was here earlier. He was looking inside, too." Curious, Park asks what the man said. She replies, "He said he remembered doing something here a long time ago, so he comes back to take a look." Park stares at the tunnel, quiet and still. haunted by the memory of the one who got away.